So, let me tell you a little story and then I'll raise my point. So back in 2012, when I was a first-year student at university, the first day at university was a future picture of Europe. I didn't know it back then, of course. There was no central heating for all of the winter that followed because of neoliberal cuts in the university. And because of the rationalization of the university, 150 students had to have lesson in a room for 100 students. And there was also garbage everywhere because the university also decided that it would be rational to fire all the workers that took only 600 euros a month and get cheaper ones, while giving millions to the intermediary company that hires those cleaners. So all of this winter, in this overcrowded room, when we were on the windowsills or on the floor, trying to attend the lesson, and there was dirt everywhere, and I was ill all the time, I decided not to blame my continuous illnesses on the strike of the cleaners. I decided to actually be there during the strike, to actually be there during their protests. And I didn't know it back then, but this would be the first of a series of demonstrations, anti-fascist protests, volunteering acts for the refugee crisis that would follow all of the 6 years that followed this day. So let me raise my point here. What is the reason why, even though I was always politically active without being part of a political structure, now DiEM is the first political movement or party or whatever that I become part after all these years being politically active? You see, in interviews, I really like this question when they ask you, what is your biggest fault? Because the answer is easy for me. I'm unknowingly pessimist. I'm so pessimist that I even annoy myself. You can see it in the description below how pessimist I am about the future. But there is one thing, actually, that I am optimist about. And this is DiEM 25. So let's make a working case scenario that DiEM miserably fails. I don't believe it, but let's suppose it. Even still, DiEM would be irrelevant. The points DiEM first, uniquely, as far as I know, raised are so relevant that in the future, anytime soon, they won't have the luxury to ignore us. So I think we've let the bigots and the fascists run politics in Europe and all around the world for a long time, through our absence, of course, and now it's the time to take lead. It is late, but it's not too late. We have a moral and historical obligation to put the demos back into democracy in Europe. DiEM 25, Carpe Diem 25.